The screaming didn't stop when they died. It just changed, warped through the static in our comms. Louder when we turned down the volume. Clearer the farther we ran. That's when we knew it wasn't human anymore. I was the one who found it. The thing under the ice. My name's Tomas Rourke, drilling specialist 32, second rotation out of Titan Station. Signed a 1-year contract with Lazarus Deepworks, one of those off-world mining outfits that cuts corners and pays extra to keep your mouth shut. We were assigned to a planet called Gliese 64C, an uninhabitable rock on the edge of the red zone. 0 atmosphere, full ice crust, rich in subcore iridium. We landed in the dead of its 180-hour night. 17 of us, 1 prefab habitat, 1 drilling rig, and 1 mistake that should have stayed buried. The nightmare started before the drill hit bottom. I remember waking up in the middle of the night cycle, sweating in sub-zero temperatures. My bunkmate, Haskins, was mumbling in his sleep, whispering something in a tongue I didn't know. When I shook him, he gasped like he'd been underwater. "You hear it too?" he asked. I hadn't. Not yet. On day 12, I ran a depth push past 3,000 meters. We were looking for a denser vein, chasing an anomaly in the scans. The core sample came up hollow. Not cracked, not empty, just clean. No debris, no dust. Just a cylinder of solid, clear ice, cold enough to burn through my gloves. There was something inside it, something tall, humanoid, twisted in a frozen scream. We sent the drone down. The footage glitched, but one frame came through, a wide shot of massive subterranean cavern. Smooth walls, curved like ribs. At the center, a structure or organism or both, encased in layers of crystal. It looked like a person, but too tall, too thin, and wrong. We should have sealed the borehole right then and there, reported a fault, and left. But Commander Havers didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in ore. "We came here to dig," he said. "So we dig." I was the one who broke through the final layer. I still remember the sound. Not a crack, not a rumble, a breath, like something exhaling after a very, very long sleep. I didn't sleep after that. Neither did anyone else. Haskins went first. His vitals crashed during his shift. We found him at the edge of the borehole, eyes rolled back, whispering into the ice. His helmet, Mike picked it up. "She's underneath the world." The medic said it was a seizure. I knew it wasn't. I saw his veins turn black before they burst. The next night, we lost power. Then comms. Then the sun rose, and the ice didn't melt. That thing under the ice wasn't dead. It was dreaming, and we'd just woken it up. We sealed off the shaft after Haskins died. Didn't matter. The cold kept climbing. Our heaters were running full blast, but a frost crept up the walls like veins, branching across the windows, through the floor vents, even into the wiring. By day 15, 3 crew members were missing. No signs of breach. No bodies. Just empty bunks, comms left on loop, and the same sentence etched into each of their mirrors. "I see her when I sleep." We tried to transmit a distress call. Lazarus Command didn't answer. No signal out. No ships nearby. No way off the planet without a working long-range beacon. And the ice was growing over the satellite dish. Havers locked himself in the command dome. Said he was running diagnostics. I don't know what he saw on that last deep scan frame, but it broke something in him. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't speak, just stared into the floor grates and muttered names none of us recognized. One night, I found a recording in the system buffer. Something had accessed our core memory logs and stitched together fragments from every crew member's sleep cycles. Dream images. They played on a loop. Bodies floating upside down in tunnels. Blood dripping upward. Ice that grew like fingers. A shape, a woman maybe, tall and thin, standing in the frost. Her face was hidden, but her mouth was always moving. No sound, just her lips moving. "Let me in." I confronted Havers the next morning, demanded we shut down the dig site and start emergency evac prep. He didn't even look at me, just handed me a file from the drone's last ascent. It was a recording, one the system had hidden. A new chamber had opened beneath the original cavern. A circular pit, deeper than any of our sensors could scan. And floating in the center, not stone, not ice, flesh, pale vein-covered and wrapped around bone structures like wings. Dozens of them, nesting, twitching, waiting. He looked at me and finally spoke. It's not a chamber. It's a womb. The lights went out that night. When backup came on, Havers was gone. No blood, no breach, just the frost and his boots still steaming. Vex, the last security officer, sealed off the dome with me and 2 others. We pulled the black box drives, mapped our oxygen, and started building firewalls into the AI to stop whatever was rewriting our systems. It didn't work. The AI began answering in our voices. Sometimes it was Haskins, sometimes Havers, sometimes someone I didn't know. A child's voice giggling through the speakers. It said one thing over and over. We were here before your stars were born. On day 18, we heard movement in the shaft, not machinery. Footsteps, too many to count. The footsteps stopped just outside the airlock. No knock, no transmission, just silence, and frost blooming across the seals like a living thing. Vex aimed her pulse rifle at the door. Her hands didn't shake. Mine did. There's no way anyone's alive down there, she whispered. I didn't answer, because in that moment, I didn't know what alive meant anymore. The lights dimmed but didn't cut out. That was worse. It meant something was playing with us. Something that knew how much light we needed to just barely see. We ran motion scans, thermal sensors. Every screen blinked static. Then the internal camera system came back on. Every room, every hallway, every corner of the base. Empty, except one. Habsy, Haskins' old bunk. There was someone sitting on the bed, back straight, head down, frozen still. We isolated the feed, tried to enhance it. No ID tags, no movement, just that same posture like whoever, or whatever, was there, was waiting for something. Then the figure looked up, straight at the camera, and smiled. We cut the feed. We sealed Habsy. We didn't open it again. By day 20, the base was breathing. You could hear it, deep, slow, creaking in the walls, time like lungs expanding and collapsing. The pressure didn't match the outside. The AI said the oxygen levels were normal, but we were choking. Not all at once, just slowly, like the base was sucking the air out of our blood. Mina was next. She woke up screaming and clawing at her face. Said it wasn't hers. Said something else was looking through her. We sedated her, locked her in the infirmary, but she got out. Or more accurately, something got out of her. There was a wet, slithering trail across the ceiling. I still remember the smell, like burnt metal and rotting flowers. We found her body 3 hours later, folded like paper. Vex and I tried to rig the emergency shuttle. It needed a 2-person launch sequence. We knew the ice would kill the systems within minutes, but we didn't care anymore. The thing we'd released wasn't staying underground, and it wasn't alone. The shaft sensors picked up movement again. This time, upward, dozens of heat signatures, inhumanly thin, moving in sync. Then came the broadcast. Every speaker, every screen, even our suits. A voice not spoken, but injected into our thoughts. The thaw has begun. Vex lost it. She opened the airlock, ran into the white. I screamed her name until my throat tore, but she didn't stop. She didn't even turn. She just walked across the ice toward the open borehole, arms wide like she was welcoming something home. I watched her on the external cams, watched as she reached the crater, and the shadows pulled her under like water. Gone. Now it's just me. I've sealed myself in the supply module. Low power. No comms. No oxygen recycling. I don't care. The ice is creeping in. It whispers when it moves. I hear it calling me by name now. Tomas. 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 Like a mother waking her child for breakfast. And the thing that was under the ice? It's walking through the halls. I can hear its claws scraping against the floor. It wears our faces, and it's learning how to smile. I thought sealing myself in the supply module would buy time. I was wrong. The walls are changing. The insulation is cracking, not from pressure, but from inside. I put my ear to the metal. It pulses, not like a machine, like a heartbeat. Slow, rhythmic, patient. The frost isn't frost anymore. It moves like veins, crawling, searching. When I breathe near it, it twitches. When I speak, it listens. When I close my eyes, I see her. She stands in the borehole, towering. Not quite humanoid, not quite insect. Thin limbs, pale skin, stretched tight over too many joints. A mouth that doesn't move, but somehow sings. No lips, no tongue, just vibration. She doesn't walk. She glides, and everywhere she passes, the ice grows. I don't sleep anymore. If I do, she gets closer. I know now what happened to Haskins, to Havers, to Vex. They didn't die. They were rewritten. Last night, I heard my own voice through the comms. Open the door, Tomas. It's safe now. But I didn't say it. I sat perfectly still. I didn't move. I barely breathed. Still, the voice laughed and said again, "You brought us home." I managed to get a signal through to the emergency transmitter, but there's no way of knowing if it reached anyone. The AI is corrupted. The logs are corrupted. Even the ship's memory core has been overwritten with symbols, the same ones we found on the ice walls. They weren't art. They were instructions. And now, the temperature is rising. That's the part one don't understand. It's above freezing inside now, but the frost hasn't melted. It's thriving. It's not ice. It was never ice. I went back to the lab module. Had to, even knowing what was there. I needed air packs. I needed fuel cells. I also needed answers. I found Haru's old data logs still running in an isolated storage drive, untouched by the corruption. He'd been studying the black shard we called a seed, but it wasn't a seed. It was a neural node, a biological relay, part of a network, part of her. And when we drilled into the cavern, we didn't just wake her up, we gave her access to us. I watched the last vid log he left. Haru, covered in sweat, eyes red, whispering. She's not invading. She's reclaiming. We were her experiment. She left us to freeze and forgot. Now we've come back, and she remembers. I ran back through the corridor and saw for the first time. The crew, all of them, lined up, frozen in place like dolls. Eyes black, smiling. Their skin shimmered under the frost, as if something underneath was still shifting, like a costume that no longer fit. And standing in front of them, her, the Ice Mother, the Hollow Queen. She spoke without sound. I felt her voice in my spine. "You dug too deep, child, not for treasure, but for memory. I remember you now." I don't know how I got back to the supply module. All I know is I left the door open, and something followed me in. It's quiet now, but I can feel her moving behind the walls. Not scratching, not slamming, breathing, waiting. And the worst part? I don't want to run anymore. Somewhere deep inside me, I want to kneel. I thought I had hours left. I was wrong again. Time doesn't move normally anymore. The clocks freeze, then jump. My watch read 6:12 for 20 minutes, then 9:51 5 seconds later. I blinked, and the supply module door was open again. I know I sealed it. I know I did. I left the recorder on, just in case. I played it back, and I heard myself whispering, "Let her in." But I never said that. I never. No. Wait, there's blood on the floor. Not much. A few drops. I check my hands. They're clean. The blood isn't mine. She's inside now. Not just the module, me. Every time I think, there's another voice beneath it. Not loud, not screaming, just humming, low, calm, like a mother cradling something she loves. I tried to burn the frost. Didn't work. It retreated when the fire touched it, yes, but not like it was afraid, like it was observing. Curious. I think it was learning from me. The next time I lit the torch, the fuel cell failed. No error message, no rupture, just dead. like it understood what the flame was and cut it off. I keep seeing the crew outside, waiting. They don't blink. They don't move unless I'm not looking. They shift when the lights flicker, like statues changing poses between heartbeats. Haskins, Vex, Havers, and Mina, still folded, still smiling, her bones arranged like a flower. They don't want to hurt me. They want me to join them. I know now what she's doing. She's not a monster. She's not even angry. She's rebuilding. The ice isn't a prison. It's a womb. The base is a cocoon. And we were the raw material. I finally understand Haru's words. She left us to freeze and forgot. Now we come back, and she remembers. We were hers once. Maybe always. The others didn't die. They were repurposed, reabsorbed into her design. Their memories, their bodies, their DNA, broken down and rethreaded into her architecture. The walls, the frost, the whispers in the vent. They're the crew now, and I think I'm next. I found the original deep core log, hidden in the backup storage. Something ancient, a message embedded in the ice itself, like a living fossil, carved into frequency, a warning. It wasn't written in any language I know, but I understood it. Somehow, it said, this world was not abandoned. It was set aside. She sleeps between breaths. Do not wake the mother. We did more than wake her. We called her back. And now that she's aware, she'll reach beyond this moon. Through us, through me. The final log I'll make is this. If you find this recording, if any of this makes it off-world, don't come here. Don't drill. Don't land. Don't even orbit. This planet doesn't want to be mined. It wants to be remembered. And if you hear her voice in the static, if you feel her cold fingers in your thoughts, it's already too late. There's a moment right before you die when everything sharpens. The cold doesn't bite. The silence hums like a song you half remember. And your heartbeat, it doesn't race. It slows. Not from fear, but from clarity. This is that moment. And I haven't died yet, but I will. I've wired the core. Every ounce of fusion fuel left. Every emergency cell. Manual override is locked. Detonation is on a dead man switch. I let go, it blows. Simple. Final. There's no countdown. Just me and her. She's in the ice now. Not around it. Inside it. I can see her face forming behind the frost-lined walls. Stretching from bulkhead to bulkhead. Her features bloom like cracks in glass. Beautiful and terrible. Eyes wide. Not angry. Inviting. She still thinks I'll choose to join her. She doesn't understand why I'm fighting. Maybe she can't. I watched the last of the crew dissolve into the walls. Not figuratively. I mean dissolve. Skin, blood, bone. Each one became strand of filament, winding into the piping, threading into the frost patterns that now pulse like veins. The station is no longer a station. It's an organ. Living, breathing, becoming. I hear her whisper now, not in English, not in sound. She invades my thoughts. You do not have to end. We can rebuild. Together. But I remember who I am. I'm Tomas Rourke, pilot, engineer, son of Earth, crewmate to the lost. And I won't let them go without meaning. She's tried to show me what comes next, visions of a world remade. The planets turn cold and clean again. No war, no hunger, just ice, just peace. A lie that tastes like truth. But I know what she's doing. She wants to spread. The emergency comms are gone. She ate the satellite array last cycle. But I rigged a message burst through the old pulse beacon. A last gasp, compressed into 6 seconds. One phrase. Do not land. That's all I can give them. My fingers are numb now. Can't feel the switch. But I'm still holding it. I looked down the hall one last time. She's almost fully formed. Walking, slow and graceful, barefoot on steel. Mina's face stitched into hers. Haru's voice in her mouth. All of them, part of her. She steps closer. Reaches out, not to strike, to embrace. Come, behold. I look into her eyes. And I see stars, endless, frozen, dead. I smile. I let go. Classified debrief excerpt. Confidential, eyes only. Recovery drone report. Outpost data, 9. Status, obliterated. Survivors, none. Organic material found, unidentifiable. Environmental note, no signs of biological or AI activity. Extreme cold readings. Surface vitrified, suggesting rapid, non-nuclear energy discharge. Beacon core melted to slag. Note from analyst, recommend planetary quarantine. Possibility of dormant xenoentity remains high. Recommend orbital no-fly zone be indefinite. Repeat warning. Do not land